Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host, as always, HarryWilmington. This is the show where you go to learn how to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. And today we have a guest on. So I've had you guys say you would like somebody to come on, a woman to come on to like be interviewed. And so this is my lovely friend, Misty Marie. How are you doing?
Hi, guys. I'm doing well.
Excellent, excellent. So she has been, I don't know if you guys have seen the Whatever Podcast, but she has been on the Whatever Podcast a couple of times now. And I always find those shows fascinating. I think you hold your own very well against the guys that are on that show. What's it actually like being on the show?
You have to show up early, an hour early, like yours. They have a really nice studio. The guys are really nice. Actually, off camera, I really enjoy everyone.
Okay.
They got snacks. I actually enjoyed the cookies that they said were trash on the last episode. But maybe that's just because they're chubby. I don't know. But yeah, it was really fun. They kind of asked us questions about how to go over it. You know, prepared. It was really nice.
Okay. And Brian seems like a pretty cool dude too on the show.
Brian is a funny character. I like him.
Yeah. So she did a show, I think like last week. And as I was watching that show back, there were a few things that were brought up during that show that Misty kind of got into a little bit, but either she didn't get to give a full explanation because, you know, they're trying to get to like everybody on the panel. And then also sometimes like they kind of just skip by stuff. And I'm like, wait, I want to know more about that. And so I figured we'd have her on today to be able to answer some of those questions that she didn't get to fully answer on that show. And also, even with all of that, as always, you guys are ultimately what the show is all about. So if you guys have any questions for me or Misty during the course of the show, you are welcome to ask them. We will definitely get to them at some point. So definitely leave those questions. Also, be sure to get the likes up on the video and be sure to like and subscribe to this channel in general. If you guys need more help with your dating coaching in general, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com and click on the coaching tab, as well as my various eBooks, audiobooks, programs, et cetera, et cetera. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the things that were brought up on that show and like just getting your viewpoint or take on some of those things expanded. Is that cool?
Yes, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay. So the first question that I had was, there was a question on the show because I mean, obviously you're a plus size model in this industry. And so when you were on the show, they were asking if other women on the panel would date big people as well. And the response that was said quite often was, it depends. And I've noticed that there are oftentimes things guys will ask women about like, hey, like, you know, does a guy have to be this height or this tall or this weight or make this kind of money? And the answer we typically get is depends, which for a guys think in black and white, so it can be very frustrating. But why do you think that women answer depends so often to those kind of questions?
We think about it so much differently. People can grow on us. You can, maybe it's in the perfect world, ideal world, you might want this, you know, this cookie cutter thing of whatever your mind is. But so often I think me and other women have run into guys or situations where they're not anywhere perfect and we like them anyways. That time where you were in school and you sat next to the nerd, that was like one of my things in English class. And so then every single day I'm seeing him, I'm getting to talk to him, I'm getting to see his personality. He's goofy, we're laughing, and then I start to find him to be attractive. So it depends. Like, do I like him off bat? No, I don't freaking like him off bat. Do we spend some time? Am I at work with him every single day and he's always saving my butt or he's bringing me a cute coffee? Yeah, dude, like now he's attractive. Like, and I couldn't even help that. I wouldn't necessarily pick him out, you know, out of the lineup, but because of time and his inside and how he treated me consistently, depends with your love language, but with my love language would be a gift or something like that. Like, yeah, I'm going to start to be like, wow, like there's other needs that he's meeting that are so attractive that the physical is now either catching up or doesn't matter that much.
Interesting. Now, do you find has it ever happened that the opposite has happened where like you see a guy and like on paper, it's like, oh my God, this guy's it. And then it turns out that, okay.
It happens all the time when we laugh about it. Which is actually one of your questions about us talking with each other, but we laugh about it because we'll think a guy is really hot. And there's two instances. Unfortunately, there's one instance where we'll see them and there'll be a type of hot where we'll just assume they're a douchebag. And then if they're anywhere nice at all, we're like surprised and then instantly in love because that's so rare. Or we'll be like, wow, they're kind of cute. Like I'm kind of digging them. And then you'll get their attitude or like some kind of way they were talking. And you're just be turned off by their mindset. One time I thought this guy was really cute at the gym and I wasn't necessarily into him like that, but I'm just like, okay, like I don't mind flirting with him. And he came into the sauna and we were talking and he had the nerve. He said he goes, this is not a patriarchal society, but I don't think he understood what it meant. So he, instead of like asking or figuring out what the conversation was, he decided to just argue it. And then it just became like this aggressive like thing where he just was like, and I was just like, ooh, like instantly, like, I don't even know that I don't think he's attractive, but now I just see him as like a child because he wasn't able to like fully develop thought process past like his mind. Like it was just like right here. And it was like, okay, I cannot argue with a fool. Like, okay, like for sure. But that being said, I'm like, ooh, turn off. And so, yeah, like then you'll start to see things that are unattractive. You'll see that in relationships too. A girl will get with a guy and then slowly she'll start to realize that was like, maybe she was just attracted to him and she didn't build that stuff up. So over time, the fact that he like, I don't know, flosses on the couch, or the fact that he like chews with his mouth open, or he really just can't be polite, or he's rude to waiters, or whatever the thing is, it starts to make him look disgusting, and then you get repulsed.
And it's very easy for a person, just man or woman in general, to like, really put out their best representative early on, only to discover as it goes on that they can't really hold that facade up.
Yes.
I tell guys on the show, typically it takes women about 2 to 3 months to really solidify their feelings, in part because it takes some time to really vet what's going on.
I'm glad you're telling them that, because that is completely, I keep having to have these conversations. We take longer time. Like I can see you and be initially attracted to you. Maybe you want a bone, like, okay, great. But that doesn't mean that I want you long-term, and I won't like you just because I think you're attractive. Like it really takes me time. And so what I've noticed, especially dating now, like I'll find a guy and I'll be like, oh, he's attractive. And yeah, he's good on paper, but that doesn't mean I like you. So our first date doesn't mean you should be touching me or going like across boundaries just because you feel comfortable in this situation, just because you decided you like it. Or I had this guy recently, how I would talk to you, but if we start talking then this, and he has all these implications. The thing is that now he's realized that he's interested in me. His job now is to get me interested in him. That's not implications of all these things you now demand from me. Now you like me. You're expressing that to me. Great.
Yeah.
So now I'm not disgusted by you. I think that you're an attractive man. So now that you like me, what does that come with? What does that mean now that, I think you're cute and now you like me too. So, and not like me too, but just like me, like I got to get it back. And I won't just get it from finding you to be attractive. So once you decide that you like me, then there's got to be things like, hey, let's go on a date, or let's spend some time together, or I thought of you for this situation, or I sent you a song, or, I mean, these are my love languages, my acts of service and gifts. I don't know what. She might want to spend time with you or go to the beach or be held. I don't know what these things are.
But it's still a process. Like you need to see certain things for like, and see them consistently before you're like, okay, this is now the guy. And so I did a show a couple weeks ago where I saw a study where it said, in terms of falling in love at first sight, that it takes women about 15 days if it's that fast, and for guys it's like 8.2 seconds.
Yes.
And I'm like, how that ends up making us rush the process. And it's like, so I try to tell guys, it's like, just because you're feeling a thing, it's probably lust, and it's probably like you're just really horny, but it's not full on love, but you're thinking it is. And even if it is, she still needs time. Even if it's a short amount of time, it's still going to be longer than what you would expect.
I mean, I think it's based off of biology. You guys are, you can do this, you can spread your seed wherever you like. Us, on the other hand, we biologically have that knowledge, and it's going to affect our hormones and the way we think, that we have to keep that seed then for 9 months. And that's something that we have to be like, okay, if we keep that seed for 9 months, what does this person provide as far as a provider and a protector for me to be able to do that? And that goes with feelings. It's not just in sex. It goes with feelings too.
Right. Yeah, totally get it. So then the next question that I had was, there was a part of the conversation when they were talking about duty, and basically duty meaning that you're going to be able to stand by your man through thick and thin, for better, for worse, regardless of what he's going through. And I think the example he brought up was like, let's say your guy got maimed and he couldn't provide for you anymore, protect you anymore, because let's say he got his legs cut off or whatever like that. And you were saying you'd be dutiful, but if that changed the way he acted, like if he started maybe acting more aggressively, or maybe not being the same guy, whatever, that would make you question that. So I guess my question is like, at what things would make you stick with him? At what point would you draw the line? And like, how would him changing up, like in what ways would he have to change in order for you to change your mind about wanting to be dutiful to this man that you made vows to?
You're going to love this answer, because it depends. It depends, because we're looking at a level of like attributes. If there's 10 attributes and they shift, like things go, I can settle for this, if not this. So it would depend. Like if he's maimed, let's say he went to war, or then what does that come with? Does he have PTSD? Does he have PTSD and he can't walk and he can't have sex and he can't, like, what are all the amount of things that he can't do? And then on top of that, how does that make him respond to life? Is he accepting now, like, okay, this is who I am now. I've got a brighter outlook. I'm gonna do whatever I can do. I'm not a victim. I'm gonna try to succeed. Like, are they gonna, or is it, I hate my life. I'm drinking every day. I might be abusive to you verbally and all these kinds of ways. And there's still gonna be a certain amount, me personally, that I'm gonna put up with, just because I love really, 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 really hard. I'm a Scorpio. I don't know if that's like a thing, guys. I know they love horoscopes, but like I'm a hard lover. I'm very, very, very loyal. So I would to an extent, but there's going to be a point to, I think, anybody, but I hope that I've reached a point to where I protect myself to where if it's going to, like, it would have to like be something that was physically damaging to me. You know what I mean? Like it would depend, but it would depend on what would and how long would this, because I'm obviously going to stick by you for the hard things and like do my best.
Well, it's interesting. I think too, like, you know, there's a reputation out there now of like women only want to be in relationships with what they want. They're not really about sticking by the man. But like, just in my personal life, I've seen a lot of women stick with their man through a lot of bullcrap that they bring in before it's like, girl, like, dude, could you please, like, I know you want to be there for him. And, you know, I'm the first one to be like, you know, you should stick by your guy. But it's like, there's a point where it's like, if he's doing X, Y, and Z and it's not getting better, like, why are you even still in this?
I like don't like to put my business out there like this. And obviously, this is something I've had to learn from. But these are from learning. I was with a guy who literally cheated on me, like, repetitively, to the point where, and I wasn't aware of it all the, like, necessarily. I found out about it like later in time. But he would introduce me to these girls and be like,
what?
"This is my friend." Yeah, and like that makes me so sick. And like, that just me. I don't like feeling stupid. I don't like feeling dumb. I don't know how all girls feel, but I know that's something that I feel really struggle with. Like, I want to feel stupid for someone who won't make me feel stupid, or look stupid. And so introducing me to this, and more than one time, it took him getting his friend pregnant.
Wow.
And then not leaving that for me to be like, okay, I don't belong here. Like, this is obviously, like, this equation has X'd me out, you know, and we're actually cool to this day. He was one of my best friends.
You're better than me. Shoot, I've been like, peace.
He was. It was a long time. It was a good 10 years before we could talk again. Anyways, that being said, I learned a lot from that. Like, yes, I would go through the fire. Oh, no, to the wire, but go here with me through the fire. And so I know that I could be tested there, but I never want to be pushed that again, because I felt like I was going insane. Like, he was blaming me. Like, projection is a big thing in relationships, and I didn't realize that at the time. It took me like experience and I guess maybe 101 psychology in college to realize people project a lot.
Yes,
and
very
so
true.
He would blame me, be like, "Oh, you know, you're cheating on me, you're doing something," and I'd be like,
and it's like,
I told him, this is the analogy I gave him. I said, I don't want to be blamed for taking the cookie out of the cookie jar if I didn't take it, and if you're going to blame me for taking it, then I'm going to eat the cookie.
I've said that to some people where it's like you can realistically talk into your life the things that you don't want. And it's like, because then it's almost like it goes from like, well, I'm not trying to do a thing, but you seem to be pushing the narrative that I should do a thing.
Right.
Like,
and I still didn't cheat on him, but I found out that he was cheating. And this, that, and the third. And so, yeah, I mean, yes, dutiful, but there's going to have to be an extent. I cannot destroy myself. I'm not going to allow myself to not, like, I'm not going to get to where I can't come back up again. And I've gotten that far before. So, but I also want to hopefully vet a person to know that they're not going to be that kind of person. But then again, like he said, Mame, like, who knows? That could totally change. That might even change me. But if I'm a really big believer in, like, everything happens for a reason. And I also take a lot of responsibility for self. I'm trying to do that more and more every day, but like, it's still my outlook. So that's still their outlook. And if I'm hoping to be with someone who's spiritually and like emotionally aware enough to like have a grasp of that, so then we should be able to keep it pushing. Right. And his little body. I mean,
now on that show, they really talked about, like, you know, they were asking you the ladies, obviously, like, what kind of duties do you think you bring? What kind of duties do you think men should be bringing to in relationship situations? I mean, obviously, aside from like not cheating, but like,
I guess it depends on the relationship. And a relationship that I'm looking for is protector provider. I don't know. I came from a family where my grandpa went to work and my grandma stayed with me, and she cooked dinner and she made sure the house looked good, and she gardened and she sewed, and she'd watch her soap operas. Like we watched Star Trek in the morning. And so that's just kind of what I see.
You know, it's interesting because I like that you bring that up, because the things that you're describing are like things that we'll say, for better lack of term, a lot of modern women today push against, in terms of like, or the narrative we're fed is that modern women don't want to stay at home. They don't want to they want to be boss babes. They don't respect, like they rally against the idea that doing those things is not like anti-feminist. Like they're like, if I stay at home, then I'm not, whatever, I'm not contributing and I'm just being held down by the man. But it seems like it sounds like you're saying you don't think that way. That you.
I mean, here's the thing. I'd like a choice, and I'm a boss babe now. Like I run my own LLC. I'm out here like living in one of the most expensive economies in the country.
And again, she gets gigs, y'all. Like she gets a lot of money. Every week on Facebook, like, oh, she got another gig. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was working with True Religion today, actually. I'm really grateful for them. But I am doing this, and I am self-sufficient, and I am taking care of my own bills and taking care of my own things. And I want to be a mother, and I want to be a wife, and I don't see how I could do everything that I'm doing right now and also fulfill the duties of being a mother and a wife.
Okay.
That is it. Like, it seems like that's a lot. And I want to be with someone who agrees with me, that agrees that that's a lot.
Yeah.
And not that I would quit working just because I'm in a relationship. And I definitely would pour back into my husband, like, because my love languages of gifts and acts of service. Like, I love doing things. Like, you're going to get surprised with dinner. You might show up with lunch. Like there's going to be really sweet things that I love to do. But I'll be motivated by that person to do them.
Interesting. Okay. Let's see if we got anything here. Blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. So this is just a lot of random comments here. Let's see. I hear
Hi, random comments.
Who
is it?
Oh, so he said, this guy said, there's random names, but it says, this guy says she just described the icks. That's the thing of like, where we talked about like being attracted to somebody, then they do something, which I think I have a question about that too. Oh yeah.
Some of these icks are not fair, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. These are not, some of those icks,
yeah, and it's like, I think both men and women have their what their ick thing would be. I think for men, it's like, because we don't get as many options for hooking up, that we kind of like let a lot of things go. But you had mentioned on the podcast that a guy with a muscular body that had bad toenails, for example, would turn you off. And then the guys in the podcast just kind of like, oh, well, whatever, this is that. But like, I've noticed there are certain things that guys can do that we're not even aware of that could make that ick happen a lot faster. So like, what was it, for example, about like, oh, the guy's got muscles, but his toenails are jacked up, I'm out. Like, why would his toenails being jacked up be a turnoff for you, for example?
There's a few reasons. I wouldn't necessarily judge him off bat like that. I would want to know if there's like a medical condition. But then that also is, okay, what is the medical condition? Are you being healthy? And if you've got all these muscles and then not that means that there's a disconnect in the health there. I mean, they said on the show, which I think that people don't like to give thicker girls any credit for, but I want my husband to be around for a long period of time. So things like that, like, because I know what you're getting at. Like, do I care if a man's hands are, manicured or not?
Well, more so in the sense of like, because often I think that like when women are reading to those things, it's like there's something that's being conveyed in a negative way that men aren't aware of. So like, what is like, for example, like the dirty toenails or whatever, say about like his hygiene or how he holds himself, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If that is a factor at all.
It was more of an example, because the thing is, I also wouldn't want to judge too much. Like a fungal, like a toenail thing, it can be something you're working towards. You know what I mean? It could be just a phase. Maybe you drop something on your foot. So I guess it would be, see, your favorite answer. It depends, gentlemen. It really depends. But in general, like in our society in California, to see that means you probably have other things you take care of well. That's not across the board, but in our society, a lot of gentlemen who are doing well take care of their smaller parts. Or unless, there's like a spectrum, obviously. And I do mean like the autism spectrum. So when you're looking at social, like awareness or like self-awareness, there's going to be levels there depending on, even if you've got a lot of money, let's say you're an engineer, you're really, really smart, but you're like on the level of autism spectrum where you're really smart. So then you just don't care about certain things.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just,
and that's obviously if somebody has like a physical disability or like a mental disability. It's like one of those things where, I mean, those people can find love. It just,
a lot of us have like a lot of us, like we might be on the spectrum.
Yeah, very, very true. Very true. And it's also because even with that, like people won't always give grace to that. Like, it's like, oh, we feel sorry for you, but we're not going to now date you. And that sucks because it's like, you think that.
I find it a little endearing. I'm not going to lie. Like, I've definitely been interested in men who I knew like were on the spectrum. There's there's levels to this.
Okay.
So like when I'm talking about, the things where you can have this and a little bit of this, like that's one of my things. Like, I don't mind if you're like really, really smart, if you're like a little awkward because, you've sold your pennies to the intelligence. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, cause I'm super sociable and I can carry us both and just be cute and boyfriend.
Yeah, true. I just want to go back to duty real quick because you had mentioned you said a big problem that women have is that they put the men in their lives before themselves. Now, admittedly, a lot of guys would disagree with that. They would say that like, no, I'm doing all the stuff and she's not being appreciative and yada, yada, yada. Again, in my personal life, maybe I'm just around different people, but like I've seen women like go to bat for their guy and like really like be willing to shell out for gifts and for, letting them drive their cars around and like giving them money to fund their dreams. Like I've seen that. But with that said, so explain what you mean from your viewpoint of feeling as though women are giving more. Like, what types of stuff are these women doing that maybe men aren't aware of, or maybe they haven't had these kind of relationships, aren't aware of?
So let me clarify. I don't think they're doing more.
Okay.
Yin and yang. We have our different strengths. So you're going to do yours and I'm going to do mine. I just said that I feel like women do give their all. Like, they'll give, because he made it seem like his wife was really special because she gave her all to him, even when he alluded to maybe he had treated her badly or done something bad and she just stuck in there for him anyways. But you see that time and time again. Like, that's why Murray was created. Like, oh God, that's why Jerry was created.
I just watched that today. Yeah, it's like I just saw an episode where a woman's like she got cheated. She found out her partner was cheating on the last show, so she got it with a new guy, and she was like, "I'm doing everything. I'm doing this, and that, but I think he's cheating on me." And he was, and she was like, "How could you do this? I told you I got cheated on by a guy before, and I'm here doing everything for you." And you're like, I'm taking it for granted. And I think so many men experience that themselves, that they don't believe that like it's happening to women. It's just
they don't believe what's happening to women.
They don't believe that women are giving their all or spending all this money or doing the most. Because especially a lot of guys that are bitter, they're just like, because it never happens to me, all women must not be doing this. And it's like, again, I've seen that women will give their all and spend lots of money, and dudes are sometimes like, just like I think women can be trash, I think dudes can be trash too. Like, know, so yeah.
You don't feel like it runs one way more than the other?
I would say statistically, it's about, in terms of cheating, I think they said like 28% of men cheat, 24% of women cheat. So it's pretty much even, but I think also women are better at hiding it. Or they'll do things that, like, if it's not like in a physical realm, it won't be labeled as cheating, but it could be emotional. It could be like, or sometimes it's like the weird thing, like, well, I did it in a different zip code, so it doesn't count. So there's so many, I've heard these things said to me. So it's like
a man's response. Women don't say I did it in the zip code, so it doesn't count. Like, women are not, we think more logically than that. There might be other reasons, like we broke up or like, you whatever, but it's not going to be something. Or
they're also considered like, well, like I did one version of sex that is not all the way sex, so therefore I'm not adding that to my body count. Like, that kind of stuff will happen too.
Yeah, I mean, that makes complete sense to me. If I've already had sex with you one time, and now it's been some time and we have sex again, I don't count you again.
I mean, like say like, oh, well, I just went down on that guy. He didn't like put it other places. Therefore, it doesn't count all the way as full on.
Well, if you just gave head, then that's not sex. That's oral sex.
That's what it has. It literally has the word sex in it. That's what I'm saying. Like, so because they won't count that, it'll be like a woman can literally say like, oh, I didn't cheat at all, or I didn't have sex with that guy at all. It's like, but you did other stuff.
That's cheating is cheating. Cheating, I mean, you should be talking about that in your relationship and deciding where your boundaries lie.
Yeah.
That's cheating for me for sure. And I wouldn't be doing any of that. But I'm also a faithful person. I get tunnel vision when I like somebody, which is why I'm trying so hard not to get like, I wanted like, and it's interesting because I was on this dating site earlier with a girl and she was talking about rosters, and some girls do have rosters, but the thing is, I don't have rosters, but I'm dating because if I date just one guy, regardless if he's the right one or not, if he's showing me any kind of like attention and I don't have it based on anything, then I'm in a tunnel vision for the wrong guy, and I just don't want to do the wrong guy again. Because yes, when I'm in relationships, you know, I'm not like balling out of control, but I care about what you need. I care about what I'm hearing you say. So, and I know men like gifts they can use. So I'm going to do something that's going to be like, oh, like, here's the game you wanted, or here, I'm going to think of things to do like that. Like, I'm at a point now where I would really like to date a man that was like how I've been to my exes. Like, that, not like that. Like that's kind of a weird sentence. That's not what I mean.
If you're giving your all and you're being loyal and faithful and all that stuff, that makes you want
like,
that.
Yes, like that kind of situation. And I mean, I don't know if I'll ever find it, but I mean, I don't have a problem. I don't know that I would be taking us on trips unless I had it like that to be doing that. But I definitely would be thinking about them. I would, you know, I'm not the type of person to on the first while we're dating or whatever to be paying for dates. Okay. But once we're solidified, like let's say that's my boyfriend or it's my husband, for sure.
I think that's the problem guys have is like, especially with guys, like they'll say, okay, I've had these questions where guys will say, like, I've taken her on 2 to 3 dates already, but she hasn't like offered to take me on a date or pay for stuff. And I'm like, dude, this is like if they do early, that's great, but this is like a 3-month process. You may be the one to just ask for the dates the first like 6 or 7 dates, and that's fine. If she's showing up and saying yes, and she's hooking up and having a good time, then like it'll get there. Like, because again, I found in my dating life that if once I did that stuff, then like, yeah, the woman gets comfortable with me, they start trusting me. And then it's like, all of a sudden it's like the amount of love and attention women will give you once you've proven yourself is like astronomical. But most dudes don't even get to that point because they're not willing to like go through the process of what they need to do.
Well, that, and also I think you got to date in your bracket, like date the girl that's okay with it. Cause there are going to be girls, and I mean, like I have got this girl, she's a beautiful girl, blonde hair, such a cutie. She's my tack at Torrid. Hi Rose, if you're watching this, she's gorgeous, but, and me and her she'll laugh at me. Cause I'm just like, yeah, like I do want a guy like on our second date to come pick me up. And like I do. And she's like, I'll drive. Like she doesn't care. She's like, I'll go half. She doesn't care. You know what I mean? To be fair, I'm dating more than she's dating. So maybe she should
put stuff out there. Gotta do it.
Maybe she should switch that up. Cause I mean, you get what you know, what you're willing to accept.
Yes.
But she's totally dope. Willing to do all that stuff. Doesn't help her. Doesn't help her. And I just was watching a podcast the other day, and I'm getting pings on it still, where I posted and I was just like, to spell it out for us, we don't get it. What a man puts into the date is the amount of respect they have for you. That is what it is. And that's why people are complaining about Cheesecake Factory, complaining about this and that. I have a roommate. She refuses to go on anything more than a coffee date with you because she doesn't want to spend a lot of time with you. Right. In case she doesn't like you, she can run. But here's the thing, and I actually don't mind a quick rendezvous date so you can see who I am also. Like if you wanted to see what it is, what the vibes are, like that's fine. But the first planned date, like you might be my husband. And that's why I'm on the date with you. I want that story to be dope.
And I've talked about this before on the show about how like for women, it's about the journey and about the story that they're going to, because I think about like, you know, if this goes down the line, you guys have an engagement. I had a friend that got married, and like how they met stories, like it's dope for me. It's like they were at a party. She saw him across the room by himself. She went to talk to him. She was just like, it's this whole buildup of like how by the end of the night he had to leave and she kissed him before he left. Like, it's a beautiful story to tell, right?
That's really cute.
Versus like, oh, I hit up and said, hey babe, let's go like do it at my house. Like that's not a story women want to tell.
Go to Cheesecake Factory and go to happy hour. Like, okay, that's fine. Here's the thing is, a lot of the girls who say they don't want Cheesecake Factory was the first date. Did you see that list of things?
Oh, I saw that list of things.
Here's the thing is, there's like 4 things or 5 things on that list that I would do. I wouldn't mind doing. I wouldn't have a problem doing. Being a sports game, I would definitely go to with you a sports game. I know it's a long date. If you suck, whatever. I'm still watching the game. Like, go freaking Clippers. Like, okay. But other than that, like the reason why is because these things are not thought out. You're not spending any time or effort doing, oh, my roommate just wanted a date with my friend. And and here's another thing I was going to talk to you about. Men we will write out step by step what you need to do to get us. Literally. I'm this, that, and the other. I'm waiting for this, that, and the other. You guys will find a way to not only not do it, but go around and do it your own way. And then be perplexed and confused why it didn't work. Hear this. Tell my friend, he's going on my date with my roommate. Show up with something. It doesn't have to be that serious. Some flowers, if you didn't pick a flower on the way, show up with something, just any kind of little gift. Okay, smiling. All right. I was like, she doesn't like long dates. Make it something, short and sweet, but make it unique. Yeah, a coffee shop is cool, but if you can think of something else that's around there that can also be short and unique, like put thought into it. Okay.
Or really find places like, hey, go to the coffee shop and then walk someplace. It's like a little exciting. I've done like, not coffee shop, but like a Dave & Buster's to like an arcade to like a dance spot. Like, and none of these things, by the way, cost. Like the dance spot was free. I paid for Dave & Buster's for like the food and like a couple of games that cost like $10. Like it was nothing. So like it ain't got to be extravagant, but it's like you want to make it where, again, she has a story. She's going to go back to her friends and tell this story of this date. And their friends are going to judge us.
And it doesn't have to be super long. The first part of the date can definitely be a short moment. If you guys are feeling the vibe, it's okay to ask, like you said, to go to a next spot, which is actually really cool. Then we have an opportunity to say yes or no. And if we say no, it does not mean we don't want to be around you. It just means we only plan for that. But so I tell him all these things. Day of, it's now an hour before they're supposed to meet. She hasn't had the location yet. They
didn't plan that on that. They didn't pre-plan.
He told her the day before, we'll meet up around 2. And she was like, okay. And he's trying to look for the location. The thing is that when you guys don't tell us where we're going, we don't know what to wear. It takes us at least an hour to get ready. So you telling me an hour before I'm supposed to be somewhere, that means I haven't gotten dressed at all. I haven't done any kind of makeup. I don't know what I'm supposed to wear at all. And this all takes preparation that you have not given me so you haven't respected my time. Yeah. So she's in tears. Oh, I hope she doesn't get mad about this. She's going to deal with it. She's in tears. Like she literally was crying. And like, she's like, I don't even want to go on this date. Like, I don't even know what's going on. And I'm like, bro, like what the fuck?
That's like one-on-one. Like you plan that you already have spots in mind and just say, hey,
he must want to be single, poor thing. And I was like, he hit me up the day before, like, does she like this? And I was like, whatever, those are cool. I was like, just make it short. And that your thought process, you're putting thought into it makes it important. Day of, I'm like, bruh, he didn't say anything. They go on the date. She gets back and she's like, I was like, okay, well, how did it go? Did he show up with anything? No. She said I even told him on the day, I was like, go, listen, gentlemen, if we match with you or if we say yes to going on this date, we're already like halfway there. Have confidence. I don't care what you need to do to fake the funk. Have confidence. That doesn't mean touch us and grope us and feel confident with our bodies, but have confidence within yourself. Please, please, please. I even told him, I said, please have confidence. He's like, I'm going to nervous. She's kind of cutthroat. We're cutthroat because we're just trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to be hurt. We're trying to be played with. We're trying to all these things. We're hoping you're not the person that's going to do that to us. So yes, our guard is going to be a little up. Have confidence. If I said, yes, I'm going to come to the date and I actually come to the date, I'm interested. You have a chance. You have a chance. There is a little, you got to get through. You got to confidence. So first thing, he's very nervous. He's not confident. She doesn't like that already. She's like, there's nothing masculine about this.
Yeah. This is stuff I say on the show, guys. Like, be confident. I say, plan the date. I say, let them know where you're going to take them. That ultimately they're not going to judge you. It might be a little bit judgy, but they're like you said, they're looking more for your thought process and that you're actually able to come up with something to do versus like leaving it on her. Like, why is it women don't, because just the audience, why is it that women don't like when you tell them, hey, you tell me what you want to do, or you tell me where you want to go? Like, because guys are thinking, if I take her where she knows she likes to go, she'll have a good time.
It's just the level of like the protection aspect. Like now you're making me think of these things and it's on me now. You know what I mean? Instead of being able to follow you, which is what I should do if you're the leader, I'm now having to lead. That's putting me in my masculine energy. And then you're mad, well, I want to bend it over for them. Just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's like, and then it's like, what else? Yeah. And I like my doors open for me. My grandpa did it for my grandmother. Yeah. I don't know.
It's funny. It's not a lost art, but I have found in my dating journey that like the women that I did that for were initially like shocked because like apparently no other dude was doing it. And I did. And they're like, what's going on?
Yeah,
like
winner, chicken dinner.
And I'm like, this is like, my dad taught me that shit like 6 years old.
Gentlemen, do it. We like little gifts. We like little memoirs. And let me just tell you also, when he had an opportunity to really sell himself there, I have things in my house where I was given a gift, I'd gone on a date and the person, gift, and I have it. And now I see that. And I think of that person every time I see it, every time I see it, regardless of what our relationship is now, whether we talk or not, I see that thing and I think of that person. Imagine if we still talk to each other.
Interesting.
Then it would be nothing but positive thoughts every time. Or I was mad at you. I'd be like, well, fuck your thing. But that's still an emotion, and you're allowing me to have that thing. Again, my love language is acts of service and gifts. But I think across the board, women enjoy those kinds of things, because those are things that men convince themselves they don't want to do. So I laid out the plan. Do this, have confidence, do this. He doesn't do this, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do this. Then after the date, she's like, I don't think I want to see him again. Like, it was just awful.
Wait, where did you end up taking her?
They went to a coffee shop nearby, like an original one, not like just like.
So you wait all that time not telling her where to go, only for it to be like a coffee shop. Not that that's a bad place to go, but again, like she's like this is the law. She doesn't know it's building a participation for it to be like, you could have told me this yesterday.
Yeah, all he did was leave her with bad taste, and then he had the nerve to text her later, and she's like, I don't even know what to say, and I'm like, I don't really know what to say, but I'm definitely gonna chew him out when I see him, because I'm like, dude, like, here's the thing, and that this is more than one time. Like, even guys talking to me, I've laid out, hey, listen, this is what you need to do to get to talk to me, and literally I'll lay it out, and because I've said, okay, like I like flowers, I like gifts, I like you to plan it, I like it to be special, I love surprises, I like these certain things. Because I've said I've liked it, and you guys keep saying that you want to hear what we like, you don't want to do it. You only want to do anything other than what I say. Oh, I'm not going to get a girl a gift. I'm not getting that. That's silly. Only simps do that. Only this kind of. I'm going to marry a simp. I don't know where he's at, but I'm marrying a simp, because if that's what it is, then I want it. I want it. I want someone who's like, you know what? And when I travel and I go to other countries, and I don't know if it's the BDE, because America is not very high on our list. I Googled it.
Okay.
I Googled the
and that's across the board for, I mean, well, I'm saying for men and women in terms of like I thought you meant like the list of like people that are dating. I see what you're getting at. Okay. I know.
Okay. So I Googled, and South America got the biggest. Chile, actually, I think when I Googled, has the biggest.
Okay.
And so when I'm traveling and I'm going to these countries, especially like when I go to Trinidad and stuff, like, you can tell the energy in these places are just not the same. They're not worried about making you feel a little loved. They're not worried about making you feel sweet. They're not worried about saying sweet things to you, or showing up with a flower, or doing a sweet little gift. And these were men that I just had known for, just seen them that day. And you can say, oh, they're just trying to, aren't you all trying to get in the pants? Like, isn't that the goal?
I will say, I think it's the catch-22. Like, I know, like, for my dating experience, I know that the times that I was doing that, I didn't always get the best results. And then there are other guys that I've coached, the same thing, where it's like they try to do those things, and it could be, hey, they're coming across the wrong women that just don't appreciate it. But it's like, I've seen it enough to where it's like, it is a concern of like, if I give so much of myself early on, are they going to appreciate it? And that makes guys want to spend like less money, or maybe not get gifts in the beginning.
Why can't that be your standard?
Well,
why can't, like, when I think about it, like, that should be your standard. For instance, I got to a point where I was really hurt and damaged by these dates. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that, because they don't deserve this. I don't want to cook for a man because he's not my boyfriend. You're not supposed to do all these things, all this and that. And I got to a point where, like, I really enjoy doing nice things for men. Why do I stop what I really love doing because they might not like me? They might take it for granted. The things they've done in the past. Why can't that just be Misty's standard? This is my bar. So if it's your bar to be a sweet guy, to show up with those gifts, to do that, then that's your bar. And if she doesn't get to your bar, if she's not worth it, then she loses you. She's the one who lost out, not you deciding which person gets the bar and when they decide to get it. No, this is the bar of dating, Aaron. When you date me, I'm going to show up with a flower. I'm going to show up looking good. I'm going to show up treating you like a lady. Now, if you come to the date not showing up as I expect you to show up, then guess what? Now you've lost out, and every day to go on, I'm going to show up at the same Aaron, because I'm Aaron, and this is what you get when you date me. I'm Misty, and this is what you get when you date me. Why can't it just be that? Why do we have to be so fearful of what this person might have taken from us in the past, when in general, they might have been expecting something for you and not received it either, and you're not even aware of it?
Well, I do factor in that there is something to be said for, like I said, some women aren't used to certain types of treatment. So it was like, when you show it to them, it's like, this is weird. This makes me feel awkward. I at the same time, I do feel as though, like, I'll speak on the guys into things, like, we have to be taught to better pace that out. Because I think women are a lot better at being able to pace out. Okay, it's been 2 or 3 dates. I'm going to now cook for him. I'm going to now do this.
We're all doing the same game of life. There's not one. Well, we don't have a manual to know better.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it in a sense of, like, again, this is just from dating experience and from coaching, that, like, I found that, like I said, this thing earlier about, like, in terms of the falling in love at first sight, it's like guys do it very, very quickly. So what'll happen a lot in guys dating experiences, like, before they get to you, right? In guys dating experiences, they will be, by like date 2, be like, I'm all in, I'm going to do whatever. And I'm going to just throw us to the balls to the wall. And more often than not, the probability of that guy now succeeding with that girl is statistically very low.
But those are two different things I'm talking about. Little small gestures or putting thought, like you said, into things. But what was the thought process into it? What was the effort?
Yeah.
What was the effort? That's different than deciding on the second date you're all in.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying don't show a woman on the first or second date like a good time or that you're caring for, that you're starting to build towards that, or to not do anything nice at all. I'm just saying because guys have the experience of when they do that, they don't have the best experience, then they don't know, for one, how to differentiate between women that will appreciate it and not. And then also they're on their guard of like, well, okay, on this first date, for example, I brought flowers to this girl and then she kind of looked at me like I was a simp. And then the second girl, I brought flowers and she had the same reaction. So now I get to you who likes flowers and it's like, but my experience now tells me I'm not going to lose points if I don't give flowers, but I will if I do.
So those first two girls that didn't like who you were, the action you decided to make as your person with your personality, those first two girls who didn't like who you were, you think you should change who you are to be eligible for the first two girls, when inevitably there's going to be other things that are who you are that they also won't like. Wouldn't you just want to wait for the third to be who you are, and then be appreciated in the relationship continually for being who you are, instead of trying to mold the other two girls?
Well, that gets into where I say like there's times and places to pace this out. Because like I said, for example, if there's a girl that I'm dating that likes flowers, right? I'm not going to lose points if I wait until like date 4 or 5 to bring those flowers at the point where I know other things about her, you know? But that's what I'm talking about. It's like where it's like, for example, for me, like I, a long time ago, had allergies to pollen. So I might go on a first date thinking I want to get her flowers, but I need to find out if she's allergic to them and then what kind of flowers she would actually like. And then I can know from that on, okay, then the next dates I go on, if I decide to do that, I can.
You're going on this first date, you guys should have had conversations about these kinds of things.
I don't know if those are really like pre-first date conversations, because a lot of that, especially for being online, a lot of it's just like, hey, here's stuff in your profile that I noticed, explain yada, yada, yada. Hey, we should meet up. Like those kind of conversations for me are not long enough, because most of the time when I'm doing online dating, it's like, okay, after like 5 or 6 messages, it's like, hey, we're starting to get into this. We have a good vibe going. Let's meet up. So at that point, I'm still not at the level where I know enough about her to bring her anything. But I found, again, in my personal dating journey, that I have not lost points for doing that. And I've been able to get into relationships without having to do that. Whereas when I was trying to do that stuff, it was less likely. So again, that could speak to like the kind of girls that I was dating or what they appreciate or whatever. But I found, because guys work on probability of outcome, it's like if the probability is that when I bring flowers, I'm getting a negative result, and then when I don't bring them, I'm getting a more positive result, then even for a woman that does like flowers, again, I'm not going to lose points, but there's a chance I could lose points.
Okay,
so yeah.
Normally when I'm dating, I'll go with the man's pace. So like if he wants to meet up immediately, then we'll meet up immediately. If he wants to meet up after 6 messages, we'll meet up 6 messages. If you want to have a conversation over the phone, then have a conversation over the phone and then meet up. I find that if you want to meet up with me immediately, or you want to meet up with me in the first like 6 like conversations, like what you're talking about, you probably don't want to take me very seriously. So I'm talking about the situation where you're having a conversation, the 6 messages happen, and you have phone conversations. You know what I mean? That you build that rapport. Then the first date happens. During those phone conversations, you should definitely be able to find out if she's allergic to flowers. That shouldn't be a hard thing to ask or say at all, ever, even if it's in the first 6 messages. But regardless, like you should have a phone conversation or something first.
Okay.
And then that being said, it doesn't have to be a flower. Again, this is my love language. So if it was me, like you could even just, like one time I went on this date with this guy a few years ago, and we were talking about something. We said something, it was a joke. We had an inside joke about longhorn cattle.
About what?
Longhorn cattle. I don't remember the joke.
Oh, the restaurant. Okay.
No, the animal.
Oh, the animal? What?
Yeah, like I don't know what the joke was. I forget. I think we're talking about, because I like riding horses. I don't know what it was.
Okay.
And we had an inside joke about this. And then like he picked this really, really lovely restaurant, and I got to get all pretty. It was really nice. And he showed up with this longhorn cattle, like teddy bear thing. And it was this cutest thing. I still have it, and I still do think about him. And that was a really, really amazing night. Like amazing night. We didn't end up, like he moved. So that was the end of that. But like, that's like the epitome of something that I would want. Like, and I'm not going to be allergic to
now, I'll say it's interesting. You said that you had prior to that, you had like phone conversations. So like one could surmise that like technically the phone conversation, depending on how long they were, could also count as the first date. Because a lot of times when I was doing online dating, like I would go straight from like messages to, hey, let's meet up. So there is no like tangible talking voice, FaceTime, anything like that. Because I'm like, I just want to. If we're having a good rapport now, we can continue this. I want to do my first talking in person, so I don't really do like the between. The one time I did it between, admittedly, I called the girl and it was a crap show, and I was like, I ain't doing this date.
But see, that's good.
Yeah, that was good from that case. But also, I just
in all cases.
Well, I'm saying to that point, like, let's say I had not called her and I met her in person and it being a crap show. I still like the tangible in person meetup, because then like my body can feel like, oh, this isn't going to work. Like I can have the experience in person of like, oh, this isn't going to work out.
But if it doesn't work over the phone, then it won't work up in person. I don't see, like, I understand what you're saying, but that just. For a woman, that just feels like, okay, like, yeah, sure, I'll go and I'll do that, but you haven't spent any time to get to know me. So all you're wanting to meet me off of is based off my looks anyways. So then.
Well, I mean, it's based off online conversation. But again, like I said,
6 messages. That's not enough conversations besides the looks to decide you want to meet somebody.
Well, it depends. Well, the stuff I'm looking for in a message is one situation, but also it's like, if I'm saying, I don't just send like, hey, hi, what's up? Like I go to the profile, look stuff up, like, hey, I know you said this and that. What's that like? Oh my God. And so I start looking at like, okay, what's the interaction in terms of when I'm sending a text, how soon is she responding to it? And then what is she responding with? Is it like 1-word answers? Is it 3-word answers? Is it paragraphs? And so off of that, again, this is what's worked for me. I found that in doing that, I've been able to establish enough comfort in her to where she's like, I can just say, hey, we seem to be having a good time talking. Let's continue this conversation in public at a dinner spot.
I'm just telling you from the woman's point of view.
No, I
find it to be very masculine for a man to be like.
And that could be something you're looking for in your experience with a guy.
Well, I think in general, if the conversation doesn't go well in person. So the difference is that when we meet up with you guys and you meet up with us, the effort that we put in to meet up with you is different.
How so?
Well, I'm going to shower. I'm going to shave. I'm going to straighten my hair. How long did it take me to straighten my hair today?
Like 40 minutes.
And it was already straight.
Yeah, that was.
Okay. And that wasn't including the makeup that I did for 30 minutes outside your house.
Yes.
Okay. And I didn't even do a full face. I did a quarter, and I said to do very light makeup today. And then I just picked my outfit and asked my roommate if it could match and if it looked okay. And I had to bring these other things, and like, it's so much effort that we're putting into your very simple first meeting that if you don't care about me and there's not any effort that you're going to put into that first meeting, I've done all that for nothing.
Now, what does effort look like on your end? Because like for guys, we're thinking
effort
like
looks like the flowers.
It
looks like the teddy bear. It looks like that. It looks like he picked a place that was beautiful. Like it was a lovely place. He had reservations. He came. It was cute. Like it was thought. I've never heard of the restaurant before. It was quaint, but it was expensive. Like, and that's fine. He eats their own. But he like made me feel like I was important. Like had he even close to, we could have gone to Cheesecake Factory date 4. Like that's like, had he kept that going, like even not even just the money, but just that energy, that effort, I would have been all like gung-ho for that. Like that was a great feeling. And to just be, like, yeah, those conversations, that maybe that's what you could have changed. You're in a relationship now, but maybe that would have helped a little more to have those conversations. So then you're not going on these dates, because now that you're on the date, you're also, your level of success is going down with us, because now I'm on this date and I've done all this just for this meet, okay, that you've established after not even knowing me. What are you going to bring to this now that I've done all this?
That's interesting, because like I said, I found that wasn't, in terms of my experience, I found that I was able to do the talking on the dating apps and then meet in person, and then those usually led to either being relationships or doing help. But it's like the point is like, but also that goes to when I'm in person with people. At this point, I've learned like the communication game. I've understood like, hey, like I listen more than I speak. I know what questions to ask. I know also how to talk about myself, to where it's like even in person, those are comfortable. But to be fair, if a person is not in the practice of doing that, then I can see how they would need to potentially do like a phone call or FaceTime beforehand to
even
get that.
With practice. I've been dating and I've been single way longer than you at this point. Okay. So maybe your way is working, but I don't know. But I'm also looking for different things than you are. And it's easier for men, I feel like, because you guys get to establish when the relationship starts.
Well, I'll say that part is technically true, but I think there's things on both sides of the equation that, like, because guys a lot of times get anxious, they get in their head. We don't have the same number of opportunities as most women have in terms of being able to go out on a date, have a hookup, all of this stuff. So there's different.
Men just want all these dates are not quality dates. Like we're also gambling. We might get more dates, but 4 out of 5 dates, it's the man who's looking to just hook up, even though he says he wants monogamy and a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Like, and I can't tell you how many dates I've been on where a man felt obliged to touch me when he should not have ever even been doing that at all. Like, I hate being.
What I tell you guys, you wait for the woman to do the break the touch barrier, and then at that point you match what she's doing. This is not hard.
Or less, I get turned on by like them not wanting to. I hate.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like physical affection a lot, but I hate it from people I don't know or
right. You have to build the comfort for that. So it's like,
I don't even like it from random girls. Like, I just don't even like. I don't like all this. Like, just don't touch me.
We got a light for that one.
But and I don't know. But then once you're mine, then for sure, like PDA on, like whatever you feel comfortable doing, I'm your girl, so I'm willing to.
And that will come eventually. Like at the point, like what do you find in that touch journey? It is where you start to feel comfortable, like you're thinking, okay, they can touch me now.
We would have to be like a few dates in. Probably. I mean, obviously,
for like a hug, for a kiss, for a touch on the shoulder.
Oh, a hug. You can get a hug off bat. I'll hug you when I meet you. I'm a hugger. I'm gonna hug you when I saw you today, and your girl. I'm a hugger for sure. I do not like kissing on the first date. Have I done it? Yes. But he read the room in a very, very interesting way. And it was an extended date. Like,
this is literally what I talk about, guys.
He had let me go ice skating, and then after the ice skating was a lot of fun. He was like, "Well, you want to get some food?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I want to eat." So we took me to a really nice restaurant. We got some drinks.
This is literally like the location thing. I've told guys, like, you take them to different locations, it feels like multiple days, but also like it gets them the chance to get to know you a bit better and get more your personality thing and sort of get a feel for like, oh, this guy's pretty good. And
it
then
was
like,
really cute. And it wasn't necessarily he thought out, but he was thoughtful with it. Once he had showed up to ice skating, and we went from there, rode with him because he had met me at the ice rink. Which is actually on my part, I was trying to like, so women, I don't know if women watch this too, but you guys have effervescent or something that we need to stimulate in your brains to make you feel that love feeling bond with us. So the ice skating was actually a really good project because he wasn't good as ice skater. I'm an excellent ice skater. And so
she is. There are videos of her online of ice skating. She does all the tricks.
Instagram,
all the tricks.
Misty Marie actress.
Yeah.
But so there was that bonding moment. So then we went to go eat. Like, I really actually liked that guy. But then I made him a cheesecake and he fell off. And his favorite cake was cheesecake. And I was like, I'm going to be cute and make him a cheesecake. And
did you poison him or something? Like,
no, I flipped a quarter and I said, should I do the graham cracker crust or should I do the shortbread crust?
Okay.
And I made one both, but it said to give him the shortbread crust. Okay. Well, apparently he doesn't like the shortbread crust. And so I gave it to him. And not only did he not say thank you, I didn't hear from him for 3 days. Oh, by the way, this cake was fire because I got the other one. It was so fucking good. And then when I went over to his house, like later after he finally talked to me again, I tasted it. It was delicious. Like, this was from scratch cheesecake. God. It was a cheesecake.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I asked him to get the recipe for me. So anyways, I made this cheesecake and it was so good. And he literally, me and my roommate laugh about this because whenever I make a guy something, they fall off. So I'm like, that's why I told you, like, I like making things for guys, and I'm like, but once I do, I don't know, they end up not
the cooking curse. I hope it tastes good. Like,
it's always delicious. It's just like one time I gave this guy a plate from like some like leftovers that I had from like Thanksgiving. So it was mac and cheese and it was all this stuff. And he never talked to me again either. But yeah, so I made him this cheesecake and he didn't talk to me for 3 days. And then I would like hit him up and I'm like, yo, what's up? And he was like, hey, Misty. And I'm like, did you taste the cheesecake? Like, oh yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Wow.
What? Put table die. Okay, great. That was the beginning of the end of us because he just slowly fell off from there and then he moved and now he still like watches my stories every once in a while and will like be like, hey, what's up? Or be like, I lost your number.
Liar.
No, I don't care. Well, he just called me. I think he did. I think he got a new phone, but I just didn't care after that. Like, bro, I really started to like you and you fucking mollywopped me.
Oh my God.
So now it is hard for me to cook for guys. If I cook for you, I gotta either not care if I lose you,
you might say that to like,
or you might be mine
relationship.
Already.
Like, look, now we're in a relationship. I'm making this cake.
That's what I think. That's what I think. Shara 7 is saying that she's like, don't cook for these guys if they're not your boyfriend. And I'm like, but I love cooking. Like, and I'm not gonna have you at my house like that. Number one, but I might cook something and bring it. Like, and I'm pretty sure like I've made you cookies or something before. Like you've had them.
Yeah, they're delicious.
I know, but like it's like a curse at this point. Like it is a curse. And so now if I really like a guy, I won't really cook for them. Or if I know they're bad for me, I'll cook for them.
Speaking of that, there's a comment that was left here from
Comments.
Somebody. He said, maybe this comes off a bit jaded, but women are only giving their all if he's hot enough or satisfies her hypergamy. You know what that is at this point, right?
Wait, what?
He says, maybe this comes off as a bit jaded, but women are only giving their all if he's hot enough or satisfies her hypergamy. Otherwise, women generally do not go out of their way for their partners. You know what hypergamy is? The whole thing of like, oh, women only date up. And so they're only dating like the top 10% of guys out there and blah, blah, blah. Like that's the thought process that a lot of guys have, is that they can't get women because they're only chasing after like the top 10 or 20% of dudes.
No, they date men who've got confidence. I've had men who've been.
Like you've had guys that you dated that they made less than you, but like you still dated.
I have not dated a man who's made more than me.
Okay, so we can dispel that myth, because I tried to tell on the show, like, I'm not one of those guys that's like, all women are bad.
I will not date another man who makes less.
Now, see this point, women get to that point where it's like they will date guys that make less than them, but if those men start acting up or cheating, it's kind of like the thing of like
they can't help it. Like I don't even ask for a lot, and I'm not like over here bawling. Like I'm just out here, an artist in California. But I do like to go out. I do like to do things.
It costs lots of out here too. So.
It does. And I come from a family, I guess, of a little bit of money, which I appreciate. But so then, yeah, I do like finer things, but I'm not doing that again. Like I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. I had to take care of everything. And if they did, it was like, oh God, I don't know. I'm not. I'd rather be single at this point. If you're not adding to my happiness, I might as well just be single. And yeah, that might make me alone. And yeah, that's going to be sad. And I am lonely and they do want a dude. I don't want a dude that's going to make me feel how those dudes did.
Makes sense. Yeah. And it's like kind of like why put the energy in it if you're not going to go after what you want? Which again,
I'll be miserable.
Like if you dudes that are making less money could like, it's something like, if you have confidence, then you'll understand that like you can date whoever and you won't be threatened or judged or accordingly to the women you're trying to date. Like, it's like, oh,
to an extent.
Yeah.
Because if you like I was belittling and probably emasculating to some of my exes before because they weren't able to fulfill certain things that I'm like looking at them to fulfill. And so I couldn't even feel comfortable. Like, we got to wear condoms. Like, I can't even have sex with you, like with the chance of getting pregnant, because what's going to happen?
Right. Yeah. True. Very true. Let's see. So many comments here. Jesus,
comments, go to all of them.
Who
said something about make a woman horny? What's that? Don't skip these comments. Read them all. What's up?
There's so much commentary.
Come at me.
And none of you give super chats and I'll read your stuff.
Super chats and he'll read your stuff.
It's like this is like I was on Melly Michael show, blah, blah, blah. People say that this is now that you're thinking. Somebody said this is this is the same guy. This is what you need to do to get to talk to me. I hear a lot of entitlement in there. It doesn't read well to men. I guess it's referring to when you said like, in order to get me to do X, Y, and Z. But to be fair, like men have those things too. Like even if it goes unsaid, men are like, they need to be, like Kevin used to always say, like fit, friendly, feminine. They need to be able to like, be around my friends and all those other things. Like guys have their own list of things that they're looking for women too. We can't act like we don't, Now, whether or not they have to stick to that list all the way is a different story. Cause like she said, we could definitely have things that we want, but then it's like, oh, but she brings these other things. So this one thing I want now. And then also I thought about this today too. I thought about like, for example, on my list, for example, I was like, I don't want a woman that smokes. Like my dad smoked. It was a disgusting habit. So I don't want that. But if you look at my dating history, half the women that I dated smoked. So did that make it high on my list that, even though I said this is something I don't want, did that deter me from?
You didn't want it was actually probably attracting it to you. That's how manifestation works. Just so you're clear.
You might be right. Oh my God.
So I don't want a rich guy who's going to treat me like a princess. Gross. Sounds awful. Who's going to be kind and loving to me.
Oh my gosh. There's another random question that on the show. So there was a point where they asked about body count and stuff. And this one woman, the bigger woman on the panel, said that there was one time when she had like 10 guys in one night. Now I try my darnest to not be judgmental of people. When you heard her say that, what were your thoughts about that?
That's so funny because we were commenting about my face. Like I had made a face. I was shocked. But not in a judgmental way. Just because who am I to judge? Christians always started bringing this up. We were talking about Christianity this and the thing too. And I used to be, and I'm more spiritual now. And it's because the biggest hypocrisy ever. Like you cannot judge these people. Like you have your own things that you do that are still bad things or still things that you want to work on or make better. And she wasn't saying it like, oh, like I'm proud of these things and I want to do it. But what she's saying is she doesn't regret it. And what she meant by that is because it made her who she is today. It made her aware that that's not something she wants to do. Some people need to try things to know they're not something they want to do. So other people's don't. But if you try something, realize it's not something you do, that's growth. And that is more for me than the person who already decides they don't want to and doesn't to try it and decide they don't want to. Now you're at a whole nother level of elevation. You're evolving. You're that's how humans have become who we are now. We decided what we didn't, not the people who decided they didn't, they're not going to, they're not going to try. It's people who are like, you know what? I checked this out. And obviously she was in a place where, you know, maybe there was some self-esteem issues, maybe depression. And she had to get this other part fulfilled that was missing for her to make her feel like she was all right.
Well, that was the part of the comment that I found myself struggling with it. Cause like they said, like the conversation about regret was like, I think you said that you don't need to have regret to have learned from something or to not want to do it again.
Yes.
And the guys on the panel very much disagreed with that.
Yeah. But
can you just expand on that thought? I pulled up the definition of regret also. So
okay, great.
Regret was a feeling of sadness, repentance, or disappointment over something that has happened or been done. Then that's the noun. And then the verb is feeling sad, repentant, or disappointed over something that has happened or been done, blah, 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 blah. So it's basically saying, like, I think what the guys try to get at is that if you don't feel a level of sadness or repentance over what you did, then how can you grow? Like the only way to grow is to be able to realize, oh, like in this case, someone's like, I did 10 guys. Like if there was anything of like, I probably shouldn't have done that, that would be like, oh, she now in their eyes regrets that. Do you see that in the same way?
I see what you're saying, but the thing is, those are all negative emotions. I see things in very positive and negative.
Which you said, yeah.
Okay.
So is there anything wrong with is there anything wrong with feeling or realizing something is a negative?
No, but here's the thing: that's not saying that you're realizing it's negative. It's to have a current negative reaction to the thing that happened.
Okay.
That's the difference.
You're saying in the present, if you're feeling that thing. So does that mean that it's bad at any time in that journey she would have felt regret?
I'm saying so when it initially happened, you can regret that thing happened. But to continue to feel that regret is to live in the past. You're not living in the present. That thing already happened. That was a negative thing that happened. But to feel negatively about it now is allowing that thing to affect you in today. I can't live today being affected by tomorrow. I can only live today knowing what I learned from yesterday.
But
yesterday twice.
Wouldn't viewing it negatively now prevent you from wanting to do that thing? And then if so, wouldn't that then mean that there was regret?
Viewing it negatively now, but okay, so that's the difference though. You can review it as being a negative, but to live in a negative space. So if I'm over here like, God, I wish I didn't have sex with that guy. I wish I didn't have sex with the guy. God, I had sex with that guy. I shouldn't have sex with that guy. I regret having sex with that guy. Where's my energy right now? It's all bad. Or versus, you know what? I had sex with the guy. I shouldn't have done that. I'm a better person for who I am today, and I won't do that again. That's a better energy to be in. The difference is where you're living the energy now or you're acknowledging the energy in the past. And that's why when she agreed with me, I said, I don't need to regret it right now, today. It was a regret maybe at the moment, but it's something that I respect.
Okay.
That it happened. And then I can make choices to better or worse myself from there.
Okay. I also think it's interesting that maybe I hear this more on the women's side in terms of like, not wanting to be judged for like their body count or the number of guys in their past, which I always find an interesting conversation because I could understand not wanting to be judged for that, but I can also see the consequences of that kind of situation happening.
For me, it's a sensitive subject because like 1 in 3 have had R word.
Yes.
Okay. So that means that 1 in 3, if we're sitting there doing body counts, don't always get to choose all the bodies that they're counting.
I had not considered that. Interesting.
And so I think then you get the privilege not to think about that.
Yes.
And so that's, I think, what my biggest issue is of it, especially when that's a huge crime and it doesn't get prosecuted a lot. And people claim that there's all these, but like, and so you're sitting there basing off of situations where you're the same man who's okay to just take it from any, at any moment to do it, not necessarily unwillingly, but you're willing to be fresh and do these certain things to get that. Like at the end of the day, that's what it is. And so then because you succeeded or we found you to be trustworthy or honest or whatever it is that we decided to give that to you, now we're counted negatively.
Well, outside of the extreme cases where it's like, yes, there's RASA that happens, like there are definitely those people. But then there's also like, women go to college and it's like, it's my first time in college. I knew there were a lot of women, for example, like, especially the group in the church where it's like, they were just forbidden to do anything. And then they get to college and that first year they wild out. And I knew a lot of women, my freshman year of college, they got pregnant because it was their first time. They just freely let themselves go. So, and then honestly, also, because I watch a lot more, it's like the negative of this high body count is that she cannot now find the kid's father. Like she's testing 18 dudes.
Well, if they had, one of the topics that we had on the show was making a mandatory paternity test.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Well, listen, there you go. There you have it. We don't have to worry about it. If we got a mandatory paternity test, we don't have to worry about being a hoe because we'll know the parent anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't have both. Like, I'm either a hoe or we're going to do the paternity test.
Right. Well, speaking of just the body count stuff, on the show, they asked about, if they had a roster of guys. Now, a lot of dudes think that women have just a ton of guys at the beck and call and that they're entertaining all the offers that they're getting and that therefore they always have this choice. So from the women and from that you've seen dating from your own experience, how often would you say it's true or false of women having like rosters of men that they're actively like dating, humping, whatever?
I would challenge that that's projection. Men who are accusing women for getting hit up all the time in their DMs or whatever have you are probably the men who are hitting up a lot of women in their DMs and not getting responses. Like, because it's projection. Otherwise, how would you know that unless you're doing it? You're not going to think about it. Because
you're like one of the guys that are doing it.
You're one of the people that are doing it.
So what's the actual reality in terms of like women having rosters? Like, I mean, because again, I don't think with a circle of women that have just a lot of dudes they're banging. Most of them, what I know now on my end of things is like either in a relationship or married. So it's like.
I know girls ideally probably some would like to have the idea of they're having a roster. But if you're keeping a guy around and dating him and he's not showing you what you need to see of him as your boyfriend, I don't see the point of that. Like, and the girls I know, like, yeah, they might be open to someone. So like, you might know many different guys who propose, oh, I think you're attractive. Great. Now what's your next step? Are you in my DMs every day? Or are you actually making actions on that? And what's the roster from that? So like, yeah, if I'm counting every guy in my DM, I just told you if someone from Lithuania slid in. Yeah. Because he saw the Whatever podcast. Hi, if you're watching this too.
Yeah.
And so great, but you're far away. How could I possibly entertain that? There's another guy from another Africa, but he's the sweetest guy, but you're far away. Like, how would I ever see you? Like, realistically, that's not something I can entertain.
Right.
Anything that's not in this city is not something I can entertain. You know what I mean?
Well, why not in the city?
Well, sorry, not in this city.
Oh, not in the city. Okay.
Not in the city is not realistically something unless they were putting a lot of effort forth, which I'm already asking for first dates. So now you're having to fly people places. Like, what are you looking like?
Right.
And then, so now once you get the people actually in there, what are they doing? Are they scared? Are they just saying hello? Do they not believe they can talk to you? What are their actions? Are they asking you on dates? I feel like I've got a lot of guys that I actually would even date, but they don't get past the DMs. They'll be like, oh, we should see each other. Oh, we should. Or would you? And I'll even be like, yeah, Monday at 3, what's up? Let the date go by because they're scared because they don't actually want it. Don't actually want it. They claim like they want it. So is that my roster? No, I'm not counting him because he doesn't care about me. He's literally just trying to get my attention because he thinks that I'm attractive. And that's all he can actually stomach. That's all he can muster.
Interesting.
That's all. Because once it comes past that, then he probably also is already talking to someone, or maybe he's wifed, or whatever the situation is where he can't.
And that I found happens a surprising. I definitely
have a relationship. Stop watching and liking my stories. I appreciate the love, but just stop. It's weird. Don't do that.
Yeah, I just like, because again, dudes are complaining about like, oh, like this and that, but it's like, I've definitely know women that have like, I met a guy, he seemed really great, and then I found out he had a wife and kids. I found out he had a girl, this and that. Like that happens quite frequently. It happens all the time. And here's the thing, I'm not the one. I'm not the one at all. Number 2. And number 3, when you slide in, I don't mind if you watch stories. Like stories is something that people do, but when you sit there and like them, unless it's a comment on something basic like political or something, like you're just liking a picture of me looking beautiful, I do appreciate the compliment, but I don't like that. Yeah.
I don't like that. Like that's an ick. That's a big ick. And some girls are like, oh, they don't care. I don't know a lot of girls like that. Most girls I know, they care about that because the girls I surround myself with, they're good smart, beautiful girls, and we are looking for something that's going to be long-term in the future. So we wouldn't want to jeopardize another woman winning in that way to then karmatically affect my own winning, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I'm really careful with boundaries.
I'm also curious, is like, when does it transfer from having a roster to just calling it dating? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Because like I've definitely had times where, like, you know, if I'm on a dating app, I'm dating like 2 or 3 girls at a time. Is that like I have a roster now? It's like I'm just getting to know them.
A roster is when you're dating these multiple guys over and over and over again. But the thing is that, I mean, by date 3 or 4, like, I'm gonna know how I feel about you, and if I don't feel like it could move forward, I'm probably not going to worry about having date 5 or 6. So you won't be on the roster unless people are talking about their guy friends, but then that's not obviously a roster.
Well, they would call them Sims, but I think they're referring to, like, you know, like a woman that, say, has, like, you know, there's like 5 guys she's dating and also hooking up with, and also they're doing various things for, like.
Oh no. And actually a lot of girls I know, they won't be like hooking up with these random guys. Like, if I'm dating you to be a potential, I'm probably not going to hook up with you. I probably don't even want to kiss you yet. Because I want it to be magical and all, like, you know, heel pop and like not butterflies, because apparently that's anxiety and it's not a good thing, but just that emotion.
Right.
A lot of girls that I know, they'll probably just have like someone that they will cuddle with that they wouldn't take seriously in that way, I guess.
Interesting. Another question here from the podcast. When I watched it, there's this myth out there that women always want men to, well, I mean, pay for dates, obviously, but pretty much pay for everything else. And I found in my experience that at the point where we start really like building and bonding, connecting, that women will come out the woodwork to pay for like trips and pay for dates and let you borrow their car and like buy you gifts and all this other stuff. What has your experience been in this realm? Like, how often do you find women are willing to actually pay for things? At what point in the dating process does that happen? And what helps her get to that point with a guy?
I think it depends on what kind of economy you're in and who you're dating and what the situation is. Depends. You love that. That's going to be the word of the show.
Yes.
Depends. Because, like, obviously I would love to like give to my partner, but at this point, because of the economy we live in, I would want to be with someone who can afford a family. And so paying for dates and things like that are proof, essentially, that you can afford a family, the kind of family I'm looking for. Because everyone wants a different thing. Everyone's okay with different things. And I've explained this to guys before, but you usually want whatever your childhood was or better for your kids. And I was very grateful to afford a lot of luxuries in my childhood. My grandparents treated me really well, and I was given a lot of things, and I experienced a lot of things. I went on a lot of travel trips. I got to be cultured. I got to learn a lot of things. And I really want my kids to be able to have that too. I couldn't see, I mean, like, whatever happens, and I'm, you know, but I couldn't see trying to bring a child up into something that I couldn't provide that was what I had or better.
Right. No, that makes sense. But like, so for the women that get to the point where they start to do that stuff, like I said, when I'm dating, I tend to treat women very well. I take them with these dates.
So that being said, it's hard to want to do that stuff.
So what does a guy, I guess, have to do to get a woman to start to feel like, oh, you know what? He's been doing all the things. He's doing all the things right. I'm feeling things. I'm going to go ahead and get him a little gift, or, you know, maybe make him a meal, like that kind of stuff. It's not something
he has to do, but that's a weird way to also play to phrase it. What does a guy have to do, as if their end goal is to get you to buy them things?
Well, it's not in the sense of that. It's more of like, for example, I know in my dating process, as I'm just going, again, taking on dates, showing a good time, having great hookups, I know that just me being consistent with that will eventually, just by default of nature, will make the woman feel connected and bonded to me, to where now she just suddenly starts doing that kind of stuff.
I mean,
so it's something like, I guess, because I analyze this stuff quite often, I phrase it like that, where it's like, you know, I know doing that enough times makes women start to do that. That's just been the math that's worked out.
It's going to be dependent on the girl, I'm assuming. Some girls never, some girls immediately. Me, I'd have to be in a relationship, like solid in a relationship, before I was doing anything like that. Cooking for sure, making things better for sure. There's other attributes that I'm going to be giving, but as far as monetary, I would have to be well in a relationship. I mean, obviously, if it's your birthday or something, I got a guy friend I was dating. He invited me to his birthday. I got him like a cute little thoughtful gift. Like I had no issue doing that.
Yeah.
And we had gone out a few times. But
now,
we also took another girl home that night. So
now, to be fair, guys will hear that and say, "See, this is an example of why do I have to wait for the relationship?" Blah 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 blah. So my question is, has there been times in the past where you've tried to maybe buy things or overextend yourself prior to a relationship and then it didn't work out, or you felt like you got burned?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's why I've had the boyfriends that I've had in the past. I wasn't looking to see what they could provide as a provider in the relationship. I was only looking to match their energy, knowing that I was going to end up having more anyways. Because I did more. Like I'm still cleaning, I'm still cooking, I'm still being there emotionally for you, rubbing your back, being available for you, and also having to like worry about like that happens from the beginning. That sets the tone. So now I'm looking for that as, okay, this person is more likely, if they've got an issue paying for things or whatever, this person's more likely to whatever. So I'm going to wait on purpose. Because, I mean, just like you guys are saying, and I just had I'm contradicting myself a little bit because I'm like, just be myself. But I don't know if that's myself anymore, that particular aspect of me. Like, yeah, I might buy ingredients to make you a cheesecake. That will be the kind of gift that I'm going to give you. It's not going to be like,
you gotta make the actual cheesecake. Just buy the ingredients. Like, here, go make this.
I mean, at this point, if I want to keep you, I got to just I just thought process it.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going out to dinner and stuff. I want it to be so you're used to it that it's surprising and exciting when I do it. Because I don't have other things that I'm giving. Like some things that you're not going to be giving. There's things you're just not going to be able to give that I can be giving.
Right. There was a part of the show where Brian asked you all to rate yourselves, which he does on, I think, every show. And most of the women there said anywhere from 8 to 10. And from the men, there was some pushback about that. And I found that typically when guys ask that question to women, the general response is somewhere between 8 to 10, which is debate for another day. But I'm interested in knowing, like, what I noticed is that, the guys on the podcast, they counterbalance that by saying like, oh, well, I'm a 6, I'm a 4, I'm a 3, blah, 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 blah. And I wonder because like we're saying as men, like women are rating themselves too high because they're basing it on like their self-esteem about themselves and yada, yada, yada. But what does it say to you about men when they're giving themselves lower ratings? Like, do you find that would affect how they're moving about in the dating world? Possibly?
I think that he rated himself too high. I'm talking about that guy who rated himself.
Oh, the Andrew guy?
Yeah, rated himself a 4. I'm like, number one, I'd like to see your wife. I'd like to see who she is and how she's dealing with you. But also you're inside. He's a great guy, by the way, off camera. No hate towards him. He's really funny and it's all on camera. But on camera, rating yourself a 4, have the audacity and then to complain about anybody else's number because you're inside. Like his inside, the way he talked and got so mad at Farrah, like
he was very. It's not that he had bad points, but he was doing that thing that guys sometimes do where you're not getting your way. And so you start to use a sarcastic tone in an attempt to try to like
belittle.
You're trying to belittle the other person by using a sarcastic tone. But to me, it just comes across as like, you don't know how to prove your point in a way that's more confident, and you don't know how to like deal with somebody else having a different opinion. Because that show is all about people go in there, the guys say some stuff, the women say some stuff, it's back and forth. Obviously if you're a watcher, you're going to agree or disagree with whoever you want to, but it's like you can have those kind of conversations without having to agree, without having to also be sarcastic in nature.
Yeah, it was interesting because he was getting really heated and hot about that.
Yeah. But in terms of like the rating stuff, like I said, like in terms of like, women are rating themselves very, very high, men are rating themselves very, very low. Like, do you feel like that possibly affects, like if a guy's saying like, oh my God, I'm a 4, for example, do you think that affects how he views himself when he's going about into the dating world?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We think so differently, which I think is a really beautiful thing. I mean, I think the fact that we rate ourselves higher than men normally do, there's something probably deeper in that's biological that has to do with our thought process, which is also a beautiful thing. And so I don't know if it's necessarily a good or bad thing. It's just interesting that that's how it is. Because I think that probably girls will rate men higher than they would rate themselves, and men would rate us lower than we would rate ourselves. The thing is that we're just all different. The way we communicate is different. The way we think is different. I'm not bothered by it. People came at me. I called myself a 10. They were like, oh my God, you're not a 10. But here's the thing, like, you're miserable. Like, also, you're on my page and algorithm doesn't know that your comments are hating.
Right.
So I'm still a 10. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like, we're not promised tomorrow. I had to get to loving myself and thinking that I was a 10. I didn't always think I was. And I may not be one to everybody, but I also think it's societal. What we were sitting there talking about with 3 white males, everyone's white except for 2 people, is a very Western societal ideas of what beauty is. There's other countries I'm going to go to. They're like easily 10. I'll pull the king. Like, what's up? Like, that's just what it is. Or some you need to be really petite and really cute and really like whatever the difference is are. And so what is the base that we're going off of to decide what these numbers are? Right. You know what I mean? And then is it where your looks you're judging off of? Is it the inside? What are the things? I don't know.
Well, I think because again, as a guy like that, so I think for men, like our brains compartmentalize in a way where it's like one thing doesn't necessarily have to affect the viewpoint of something else. So it's like, I could say like, oh, this girl's a 4, but she also has a nice personality. This doesn't take away from me wanting to talk to the person, be with them, but I can say objectively, this person's a 3 or 4, whatever. And I think a lot of times for women, it's like those things are connected. So it's like, like I could say for a girl like Timbo, oh, she's like.
I just had an epiphany. Okay, so what you guys do is you'll acknowledge that she's a 4 look, but love her personality, still call her a 4, but just be with her anyways. Yeah. Where what we'll do is we'll say he's a 4, but he's got or whatever the and things are. Yeah. Now he's an 8. We change his number.
Yes. And we don't do that. We will say fundamentally.
But you actually change your number in our mind too. We don't acknowledge your 4 in the looks anymore because now you're inside or whatever we rated you at 8 makes your looks an 8 too.
Yeah. And that goes back to you saying earlier, like it depends. It's like, oh, you meet this guy. It's like initially it's like, oh.
Yeah, you said it depends. Did you guys see that? Yeah.
Well, because I mean, I get the concept. It's like, and that's what I try to tell guys, like, because I have guys want me to say, for example, oh, I'm like 5'4" and I can't get a girl, blah blah blah. Like, what was me? And I'm like, my brother's best friend is like 5'2" and does ballet professionally and has like the hottest girlfriend. But it's like he didn't
confidence. He doesn't
exactly. So I try to read to guys. It's like, yes, when she first meets you, she might be like, oh, this is not what I want. But they're also like, but let's see what else he brings to the table. There's a million
things to make. Literally, I had a crush on this guy that I met him. I was like, not into it. Wasn't into it. We went out that day. He got me a teddy bear, just like in the like casually, like whatever. Not like to be romantic. It wasn't like that. We were just all having fun, like the 4 of us. Had a great night, and then we stayed up and we talked for hours. And like, then I liked him. And he was trash actually, but like that's all it took. Like he was just like, and then whenever we did talk, we had great conversations. He took me out to a really nice date. Like there were things that like were just like
he was making you like feel away.
Yes, but like looking at him initially, I was like, and now I'm like, yeah, I think he's cute because why? Because I'm getting over that. I don't like him anymore. We're good, but I'm good. But there was a point in time where I was like, oh, like I was gonna be stupid for him. Oh no.
Okay, good. Sorry.
We're back. We use invisibility.
I pressed my fruit on something, but yeah. But no, I totally get that because it's like I think people. And this is where I say, because guys, I don't like to use the term like, oh, men are logical, women are or whatever emotional. It's like I think there's analytical logic and emotional logic, and I think men discount emotional logic because like. With a woman's emotional logic, she'll be able to rationalize, oh, he makes me feel a certain way. Therefore, he's the best choice over this other guy who's 6'5", but is treating me like crap. Like that can very well happen,
Yes, we do that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
That's interesting you said that. Yeah, we'll do that a lot. And we're going to always go with the thing that makes the most sense for the future. Unless we're already in love with that person, which has happened to me. So he wasn't the most sense, but I already loved you, which is what the duty comes down because even though he wasn't the best for me and he wasn't doing good for me and there's obviously people who could do better, I already loved him. So I was ready to ride or die.
Right.
And
Makes sense. Okay, so my last question about the show, and by the way, guys, this is my last question about pertains to the show. If you guys have any actual like dating questions you want to ask us, then we will be happy to answer them for you after this last point. So there was a debate on the show about whether or not it's appropriate to share intimate details about your sex life or anything in general with your friends group. So basically it was like, they were saying, sometimes women after a hookup night, like they'll go and say like, oh yeah, his thing was this big and he did this thing, blah, 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 blah. And most guys is kind of like, I hit that. Yeah, it was cool. She came over, I smashed it. Like it's very, very low key in general, but it's not putting details out there. And so there was a fight about that. And you said that when women share with each other, they get a huge brain surge and that they do it out of trying to build connection and community. Many men would disagree with that. Can you explain your position further?
Your men don't have to disagree with it. It's a scientific fact. Just like when monkeys sit
Well,
there.
not the part. They disagree about like you like they basically say you shouldn't share intimate details of stuff we're doing.
But that proves why we should. Like it's been happening for the dawn of time. And it's interesting because when we were talking about it earlier, you pointed out a good fact. Like we just think about it so differently. Like
so how are y'all thinking about it?
Well, I didn't think about it the same way you had said earlier, but I'm thinking about it as like, and my friend even pointed this out, sometimes we're learning. Like if you have a girl who's really good at doing something, especially like if it's sexual in bed, or maybe she shows you something cool, chances are she had that conversation with her friend and her dude loved it. And now she's showing you. Like we are learning from each other. We're growing. Is this right? Should you feel this way? Should it look this way? Am I having this thing? We're checking in because we're so not sure about things. I mean, we're not comparing dicks in the locker. We're having conversations while we're, painting our nails or whatever. Like we just have these conversations. It makes us feel bonded to each other. We know that person's going to be there for us emotionally in ways that sometimes you guys can't be. And so it's a community. It's and it's better to talk about you guys than about ourselves. Like I'm not really a big gossip person, but some girls just can't help themselves.
Very, very true. Yeah. I think we were talking earlier, like I said, like I watched the show and I understand like why, because I grew up around women. Like my mom, there would be times where me and my brother would do something, we get in trouble for it. And then we hear mom in the laundry room talking to my two aunts, like, yeah, Harry did this thing, blah, blah, today, and this, and that. And I'd be like, Mom, like, what are you doing? Like, oh my God, why are you telling all these details and stuff? Like, that's embarrassing. And so like because again, I studied this stuff. I've been around women enough to know.
See what we should do about it, if it's normal. And like just the whole thing, like this is what happened, and we'll laugh about it.
Well, no, I get that. What I was saying is like I realize with men, it's like there's amongst men, like especially when we're getting to know for the first time, like the number of things we're going to actually tell them about ourselves and about our lives is like we keep it all very bitch.
That's so weird. I thought you guys talk more.
That's what I'm saying is that when we first meet a guy, you got to think about like, this goes back to like lizard brain, animal kingdom stuff, right? Where it's like, we don't know if this new guy we're meeting is a threat. We don't know if any information we give him is going to be used against us later. And so we keep things, it's like when guys talk, it's about like random fact stuff. Like, oh, this, you got this thing on your car. And oh, I watched this football game the other day. Like it's all like surface level stuff because we don't know you enough. We know how to have a conversation about something, but nothing deep yet because we don't know you. Now I have my friend Joe, I've known for like 20 something years now. At that point, we can have deeper conversations, but that took like a couple of years to get to. So when we see women that we just met for the first time, again, we're going by the guy standard, right? We see women we met for the first time, we hook up or do whatever, and if she's going to tell in our business, we're like, what the freak? Like
we don't think in the threat way. Like
I know.
We all just think so differently. Like, yeah, you guys will arrive on a scene, you're gonna be looking at where the exits are, and we're over here like la 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 la. Like, look, I've arrived.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we don't look at it like as a threat thing. It's more like a learning aspect, a joining aspect. There's like community aspect. It's like it just makes you feel closer, and it's a way to open up and share something that is personal. You know what I mean? And
now the question for me is there limits on what, like, depending on like where you're at in the relationship, is there a limit on what you'll share, or as you get to know the guy more, will you share more or less about what's going on?
Guess what? It
depends.
Yes, it depends on the girl. It depends on the situation. Depends on the guy. I have been completely transparent with people before. I've been not at all transparent with people before. There's also that we can think about, like sometimes girls just want your man, or they feel like you're competition when you're not. It's like you have to like look at that like as well. I usually will share like an extent depending on who it was. Like there's a girl that I can't really tell anything to because I feel like she judges me, so I'm not going to tell her a lot.
Interesting. So even if you're giving away stuff, if you find that the girl you're telling stuff is judgy, then that basically takes her out of the circle for that conversation.
For me.
Okay.
For me, I won't tell her all the things. I'll tell her things that I'm like, I think she'll see what, you know what I mean? Or just stuff I feel comfortable about because I don't want to be judged.
Okay.
And some people I'll be like, oh yeah, I can open up to you because you're not judging me, or like you have a similar situation, which is helpful. The similar situation is a lot of the reason why we talk. Is this normal? Have you felt like this? Should you do this? You know, if we don't have those conversations, we don't know. And that can be detrimental to us as women in general, because we don't know in general a lot of things. Even the health society started by men is catered to men, worries about more about men than it does women, you know. in many, many, many ways. And so we have to find out about each other through each other. And we don't mean it how you guys take it. It was interesting how they pointed out how we, men are more visual and women are more mental or whatever in that aspect. So then we can think about something and be getting off by that. Men have to see it. So us talking about it is like you guys showing news to each other, which I was like, wow, that never really dawned on me. And I do understand that and I respect that. That going forward, I probably would have a conversation with my husband about how he felt about that if there were certain things I couldn't share. But I also would need to be with a man who's confident enough to be like, yeah, babe, like I'm a woman. If you don't want to date a woman, don't date a woman. Date a man.
And that's one of those things where it's like I said, in my journey, I just had to get over. What I had to get over was like, woman I'm dating, talking to her girlfriends about stuff we're doing in the bedroom, this and that. Like, that's just bonding. Even though I'm thinking it could be used against me, like that's really not women that typically care for you and are kind and caring that aren't really trying to do that. So I just had to let it go, and it stressed me out less. Now it's like if I hear it's like okay, yeah, I figured you had that conversation. Like, but that's my journey. Some guys might not be cool with that, and that's conversations you got to have with the person you're dating.
Communication's a big thing.
Yeah, and then it might be things like where it's like like if you're say with your husband and then he loses his job, for purposes of holding his image together in the public, he might not want that out there. And that's the conversation you got to have also,
Right. And I mean, that's going to really depend on the situation. But if you don't want to be talked about your sexual expectations with someone who you don't know, maybe don't have sex with someone you don't know.
That's facts all day. I've preached on this channel about because I mean, I've definitely had my experiences first step you go out, oh my God. But it's like, I found more often that it's typically better to wait and get to know that person, because once you do it, even if it doesn't work out, you think about that person for the rest of your life. Like you were in them, they were in, or they were vice versa. Like it's a hard thing to get. So
I forget people.
I forget people that, I forget people that I've dated that I have not hooked up with. And for me, I find it's been easier to forget those people. I did a show where I talked about.
My head was when I was a kid.
Okay.
So it's easy for me to forget things that are pleasant and unpleasant.
My God.
Forget it all.
That's hilarious. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to stop by, because I said when I watched the show, I just had so many questions of things that I wanted you to either clarify or expand on that I'm like, I know, even though it's a 5-hour show.
I'm glad you had me.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get to talk about dating a lot in that show, and I really wanted to. And I had they
really went off a tangent on some other stuff, they said all the political stuff and the feminist stuff and stuff. It was
he didn't like that she worked for OnlyFans, but didn't want to date a guy who would watch OnlyFans. Tell me the reason. I did find her when she said I did agree with the hypocritical part where I love you.
You were great on the show, but yeah, when she said
so smart.
When she said I do OnlyFans, but I don't want a guy that watches.
That's
stuff.
fine.
I was like, again, that's her prerogative. You got to understand, because guys think very much in black and white. It's like these two things can't make sense.
How?
I'm explaining. It's like, okay, it's like you do adult stuff, but you don't want me to watch adult stuff, but you're fine having other guys lust after you for adult stuff. Those things that math in a guy's brain, it doesn't work.
Take yourself out of it. She didn't say she didn't want me to do. She's saying the man she wants to be with.
Yes.
So if you're considering you in that situation and you're finding a problem with it, you're not already the guy she's talking about. Does that make sense? That guy is not even worried about it because he already doesn't do it.
My brain just exploded.
Okay, I know.
But again, but it's just like there are guys out there that hey,
it's
they will
guys who are broke, complaining about gold diggers.
Well, I'm saying there are guys out there who will date adult stars and are perfectly fine with her going off and doing whatever in front of camera, and he's just like, that's my only girl. Yeah. And those are guys like that. I am not that guy. So if you're doing adult stuff, you're gonna be mad at me for then watching it later.
But it depends. It depends. It always just depends, because even I've talked to someone in the adult industry a long time ago. I was much younger in college. And yeah, there was an understanding there. Would I do it today? No, I wouldn't. But there is something to be, for instance, if I sell McDonald's because I'm an actor on commercial and that's how I make my money, I don't date guys that go to fast food restaurants. I don't even go to fast food restaurants.
I think that's a little bit different.
But it's not. It's not.
I'm saying it's different for the level of you're not taking off your clothes at McDonald's.
It doesn't matter about what you're doing. That's our point. Our point is she's doing something to make money. You're deciding that thing is something that's bad. But it's the same thing. She won't date them doing OnlyFans, but she does OnlyFans. And I would do a commercial for McDonald's, but I don't want to eat McDonald's and I don't want to talk to a guy that eats McDonald's. That's okay.
Well, I'm just saying that, but that example goes to so she's clearly in the market for a certain type of guy. But if she's out there saying, hey, I want to find a guy, but I can't find a guy that accepts this. If the market at large is saying, hey, across the board as guys, we don't want either women that are doing OF or that are going to be hypocritical about they're doing it, but don't want me to look at somebody doing it, then it's like, that's where guys goes like, if the market's saying this is not a good thing, then she can do what she wants, but she's going to have a harder time.
The market, she's specifically saying, she's not even saying it's a bad thing. That's the problem. Guys deem it as a bad thing because she doesn't want that. No, she's not saying it's bad. She's just saying she doesn't want it. That's got to just be okay. Like, it doesn't have to make sense. And
if that's what she's doing, that's fine. Just that's the point. Is I'm saying to most guys, it's not going to make sense. Like
why does her preference have to make sense to somebody?
Well, it depends on if the kind of guy she's going for, like, don't like that.
She's not going for any guys. She's literally just said she's fabulous celibate or whatever it is.
Fabulous celibate
or whatever. She had a word.
Was she a virgin or
she is a virgin?
That was also weird until so she's basically just touching herself on camera. Like, she's a virgin, but she's not.
I haven't seen her OnlyFans. I don't know what she does. I don't know how explicit it is. I have no idea.
That's true, because OnlyFans. I mean, she didn't say what. Did she say what she was doing? Like,
no.
Okay, so yeah, because she could just be on there like, hey guys, I'm in lingerie today. Like, we don't actually know the full.
There's a million things that she could do. The men jumped on her, assumed that she was fucking herself with a banana. It's like. At the end of the day,
so that would be a thing like we need more clarification about that.
I don't think it needs more clarification. I think that you can do something that pays you and have a preference that's separate. I don't see why they have to be the same. I don't see, like, if you're working at General Motors or you're working at Toyota, you have to have a Toyota. What do you want, a Mercedes? Like, you don't have to, just because you work here and you make money in one place, not you, royal you, is deciding that OnlyFans is bad. She's not saying it's bad. She just says she doesn't want someone who does it.
Well, I'm not on this thing saying that it's bad or good. I just always.
But that would be the argument. If it's bad, why would you contribute to it? She's not saying it's bad. She's just saying she doesn't want to date someone who she listed the scientific reasons why. Because if you're sitting there jerking off, you're more likely to have erectile dysfunction, more likely to have problems with mental issues. Like, there's reasons. And she also stipulated that not everyone's like that, but the risk is higher. So if the risk is higher in these types of men, and she's already this type of woman, and she knows this because she's in this industry, why? That's like, I don't date actors. Why? Because I already know this industry. I am an actor. I literally make money being an actor. Would I date an actor? I would hope not to. If it happens, it happens. To each their own, whatever. But I'm going to, if I find out you're an actor, I'm probably going to be less attracted. Why? Because I already know what's in the game plan with it. I know what it means for you to be an actor. I know what it means for you to be chasing the dream. Even if you're making money, I know what the struggle. I know the whole thing of it. And so if I already know it, that's even more knowledge for me to know I don't want to be in it. Does that make sense? It's just fueling her to even knowing no more. She might have gone into it not thinking she didn't want to be in it and realized this stuff while she was in it.
I also wonder about, like, if this is late today, but like, I wonder if those girls, when they're doing OF, are thinking about the potential consequences later on for both their dating lives and just their lives in general from doing that stuff.
When you're a child, are you thinking about half the things that you're doing?
Well, no, but she's an adult.
She's an adult on paper, but she's under 25. She's a 22-year-old girl.
Well, it's interesting because I think about that from the perspective of,
So the answer, no, she's not thinking about how it's going to detriment. What it will do.
So I think about that, like, from, like, guys, when we hit 18, we have to register for the army. Then if something happens,
she might be making enough money where it doesn't matter. And I think that's what she's.
Well, that's the thing. That's the part where it's like she's counting on, if I make enough money at this, then there's going to be no negative consequences. But as we've seen in the news, like, there was a woman in my home state of Virginia. This woman ran for a position, and then kind of find out she had done some positions with her husband on camera live, and she lost the election. There are women that they become moms later, and then, like, somebody at their school, like their kids' friends find, oh, she did this thing and then it's like they got to leave the school, or they have very things. So it's like,
yeah, I'm sure that's not all the way being thought about, but I think I don't know if she said she wanted kids. I don't remember.
I think she said she didn't, because I remember somebody said something about yes, or like he did the whole yes thing.
No, that wasn't fair. That was a larger girl who did that.
Oh, that's okay.
He did that too, which was also very unchristian of him.
He did a lot of, like, he did a lot of stuff. Again, you can make good points, but then all the things you're doing after you make your points is like, it kind of like curtails the
it just makes his point irrelevant because it's hateful, it's spiteful.
Yeah.
But yeah, to that, you can understand now why you might want to. Oh, someone's calling me. You can understand now how someone might be able to make money in an aspect and not want to be part of it.
Yeah, but yeah, I just always think about the future things of that.
Okay, so once we understand that they could do that, right now we move to the future. Whether she is thinking particularly hard about what that future is, we can also acknowledge that things change. things change and they change rapidly. There was a lady who was doing OnlyFans, no, straight up porn. I don't remember her name. She was doing straight up porn, and now she's got a great life and she does like some sort of like television show. So like, yeah, where we used to have to wear a red F on our chest because we were, or a red A on our chest because we were adulterers. Now things have changed. I don't think adultery is okay. That was just an example. Please don't like bite my head off. I think that's awful. Don't cheat on your people. Yeah. But that being said, things have changed. And so because she's younger, and this is a new aspect of it, I don't think she's thinking about it the way we're thinking about it, but I also don't think it's going to affect her the way we think it might affect her.
Well, that's the thing about hindsight.
It's not like porn stars anymore, where your dad catches them, you know, in the.
Well, no, but I mean, she could go and have like a great career doing something else, whatever.
She will.
And it's not to say like, hey, there are plenty of like ex-adult stars that end up getting married. So this isn't saying that can't happen. I just worry about like what her journey is going to be in terms of actually finding the person is, because that's the matter. It's like, I know people like women want to say like, oh, like if I get, we don't know if she get naked or not. If I get naked on the internet or do whatever, it's my business and that. But like those things like have repercussions later on when you're with a guy and those things come out, and then it's like it reflects on him.
That's not the right thing. Everything happens for a reason. Like who is to worry? Why is to worry? You see, Lindsay Lohan didn't do any of that stuff, and she went batshit crazy. Like it doesn't.
Well, I mean, she did do some nudie stuff.
She might eventually got to that, right?
But, yeah, she posed and she did some movies that not adult was like stuff where she had to be naked and like yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you can look at different stars and different situations and different people where just life affects them. It's not guaranteed just because of that. So yeah, you can worry. You can also worry about COVID. You can also, maybe you're not supposed to talk about that. I don't know. You can also worry about crossing the street because the bus is going to come and not looking. Like you can worry about a lot of things. Getting in your car is also a great risk. I think it's more just like, I mean, she's not even promised tomorrow. So to sit there and worry about what the future might bring and what job she might not get because she's running for, she's not promised that. And so she's making bank right now. And hopefully she's reinvesting. She's so smart. She's probably investing in, I don't think she's worried about it at all. It's like getting a tattoo on your face when you know you got it like that. Like Lil Wayne's not worried about the tats on his face.
I mean, he's also been rapping for ages and has.
To be fair, but that's fine. How long is she going to end up doing this? Like he had eventually fall out of it, and so will she. It's just the thing of life. When he got tats on his face, he took that risk. Won't it detriment his future? How he's not going to be able to run for it? He wasn't really worried about that. Was he? No, neither is fair. Go out, do your thing, girl. I love you.
Oh my God.
I loved her. I love her.
Yeah.
She was great.
This has been a very insightful conversation.
Do we have questions before you let me go?
Oh, no, that's it. That's all we got.
Okay, well, I love you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching this. And hopefully you guys learned a bit more just from Warren's perspective about various things that we talked about. As always, guys, for more of these shows, you go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. Oh, give them your social media. Let them know where they can find you on social media.
Social media. I'm trying to see if anyone was texting me about this. Okay, social media. My name is Misty Marie, so you can find me anywhere just looking for that. But my Instagram is Misty Marie Actress. My TikTok is Misty Marie X. My YouTube, I think, is also Misty Marie X. My Facebook is Misty Marie Actress.
We'll put all these in the links too, stuff like that.
Those are all my answers. I'm going to start a podcast too soon. I'll probably have a Twitch. Because people have been hitting up, be like, have you started Twitch? So I learned some valuable information from you today. And thank you for having me on your Introvert Dating Success show. I hope you guys all.
For the record, she did a video first like last year. So she was here first before she was on whatever. But like, I'm glad she's doing big things now. I love seeing her on the show. So yeah.
And I'm in for you guys dating. Like go out there. I wanted to give advice to introverts. Make the move. Make the move. That's one thing I wanted to say. Don't be scared. Make the move. Don't like I told you, some guys are like lingering in the inbox. I don't know if they're scared or they're just not really that interested. But if you're interested, make the move. Go for the jump. Yeah. All you can do is fall, and that's fine because then that person wasn't meant for you, and the right person now will have room to come.
And for the love of God, plan the date, plan the place. This shouldn't be hard. This is 101 stuff, guys. All right. Anyway, guys, we will catch you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching. I'm HarryWilmington, and we will see you next time. Peace. You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man.